Oh, Megan. Back to angry Megan. Um, so we start today about climate change and um, John Kerry, the climate czar, making statements about uh, climate change initiatives, and President Biden has signed some executive orders on climate change. And you start off with, you believe that climate change is something to address. You don't apparently think it's quite as urgent of a threat as most people do or scientists do, and you have a different way about going about solving it. But you don't describe what that might be or what that might look like, nor do you discuss any of the policies um, that are being put forward. You simply criticize John Kerry for owning a private plane. Now, I'm not going to argue that a private plane is good for the environment, because that's just not true. But the fact that um, solar industry has higher paying jobs and is cleaner for the environment than the coal industry, and there are more jobs that would be available if we invested more in solar technology, um, isn't negated by the fact that the guy owns a private plane. Now, we don't know how much he uses it. I mean, uh, the fact that he owns it doesn't mean it actually goes in the air that often. But you throw that out there and accuse him of being an elite and making his argument is then hollow to the vast majority of Americans because they see that they have to chip in and do hard work for the environment, but the elites don't have to, which is just a bunch of horseshit. And you can throw that word out about somebody else, but sweetie, if you think that your life has not granted you a whole shit ton of access and privilege, and that you aren't part of that elite group that you're going to try to make fun of, you're fooling yourself, which wouldn't be the first time. So, no, you just want to discredit the messenger for owning a private plane rather than actually discuss the fact that we can have a cleaner environment through safer, cleaner energy sources, and add to the economy at the same time. You don't want to talk about that. No, you just want to make the point that Bill Maher out in California can't get anyone to install his solar panels. Well, maybe Bill Maher, doesn't know how to use the yellow pages very well, or maybe that's an indication that there's a market out there that has jobs that need to be filled that could be installing these solar panels, so Bill Maher wouldn't have to wait so long. But making that whole circle connection is too hard. It's just easier to throw out buzzwords to make fun of a man who has a plane. Good work, Megan. And then you bust out I thought Biden was going to be the man of unity, and why is he just executive ordering everything around? And well, Megan, and Sunny called you out on this. She was absolutely correct about the number of executive orders that Trump issued in his 4 years, more than any other more than any other president in a 4-year term since the 1970s. And that's your whole lifetime, Megan. That's the most executive orders issued by a president in a 4-year term in your lifetime were by President Trump. So if Biden spends his first week with a couple of dozen, which is a lot for the first week, that's not a sign of how he intends to govern forever. That's just being expeditiously and efficient in undoing some of the crap that Trump had done. Again, I'd like to understand what your vision for helping to save our environment would be, but you didn't offer any of that. And then we moved on to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who you admit is a crazy. She's an embarrassment to you and your party. And you're afraid of the body of Congress weighing in on whether or not she should be there, because you're afraid that's a slippery slope. Just get rid of anybody willy-nilly, which isn't what is happening. There's very specific reasons why they are calling to have her removed. But the slippery slope again, I don't know if you need to take some yoga or work on your balance and maybe get some different shoes. I don't know what you're very concerned always about the going ass over tea kettle down the slippery slope. So maybe you should just sort of set yourself a little, because everything's not so slippery. If you're looking at it rationally, you just want to make excuses not to do things that are right. She is a threat, and there should be consequences for the things that she has done in the past, even if it was before she got into office. You want her voted out. Your delightful co-host, whose name escapes me, Sarah, followed that up with some good points about how is her constituency in her district supposed to get any kind of validation that she is a nut bar. How are they supposed to get educated and have an opportunity to vote for someone else when people like you are constantly defending, like you did today in this segment, people like Cruz and Hawley and McCarthy that are continually lying about the big steal of the election. Ted Cruz, and you had the exact same talking points about John Kerry, Secretary Kerry, regarding climate change. If you're just throwing out the Democrats are bad and everything that they do is going to be terrible and they stole an election and they don't deserve any credit and we got to take power away from them and everything's anti-Democrat, how is her constituency ever supposed to have an opportunity to get rid of her when all they're told is that she's a patriot by people like you and the rest of the Republican misinformation juggernaut. Oh, and then poor Dr. J, you and your stupid fucking mask grudge. You will not get over this. He's in to talk about the coronavirus, and you go on about, what are we supposed to do about masks? First, it's no mask, then one mask, now it's 3 masks, and everybody's confused. And you said people personally in your life who have been in isolation for nearly a year are really at their wits' end and suffering. And it's really hard for you to watch that. Classic Meghan. It's really hard for them to go through this. It's really hard for me to see them struggle. Oh, Meghan. Because they don't know what to do about wearing a mask. It's not that fucking hard. Use some common sense. You're such a fucking dipshit. And I know you're just doing this to score some sort of stupid points with whoever you want to keep thinking you're the avatar for. But the science changes. It's not a static moment. More information gets learned all the time. Yes, there was an error at the beginning when the previous administration told the scientists, tell them they don't need a mask. We're afraid of a mask. Run on masks and doctors won't have any, so just tell them they don't need one. And they complied, and they know they made a mistake. So, the doctor very quickly dismisses your 3-mask idea, which I've never heard either. And I don't know where you got that. I'm sure it's just part of your, you know, continued misinformation process. Meghan McCain said people are thinking about 3 masks. Nobody's talking about it. Or if they are, they're morons. I don't know what you're listening to. So there's a new variant that's more contagious. This is an airborne virus, right? If you're in an enclosed space, it's more dangerous than if you're outside. And so he said the right thing. If you're going inside in a higher risk area, throw on a couple. And he gave you very specific mask types. The K94. I don't know why you have such a problem with this and why it's so difficult for you to understand after nearly a year how you can't possibly put those little connections together. But it's just more of your bullshit to drive mistrust among our scientific and political leading communities, and your base, your little people. Keep them all dumb, keep them confused, don't let them know anything for sure, and just tell them that the Democrats are doing it. They're ruining everything. So nice to see you back to form. I wonder how much of this is on the Federalist today. Maybe we'll take a look.